Hi and welcome to this video log with me, Wayne, from swimmingcyclingrunning.com. Well, you'll note I'm standing up today, and that's because I want to talk about the thorny subject of the best possible hand entry you can make and the arm recovery that leads to A, both the best hand entry you can make, and B, the best rotation of your shoulders to drive yourself forward and give yourself maximum stroke length. In front crawl and as triathletes, we're always looking for the best possible combination of stroke length coupled with stroke rate. That means you want to extend our stroke length, and we also want to go as fast a stroke rate as we can possibly hold for the race distance. Now, there's always been an argument that, this nice high elbow recovery is always absolutely nice when you're doing front crawl. But there's lots of different types of recovery that can actually work. And if you're a triathlete or an open water swimmer, then you really want to try some different hand recovery techniques to get into the ideal catch position. Now, in every experiment I have ever done with any swimmer and at any stroke, the faster the stroke rate, the faster the speed. It's never been questionable for me. Every single time I've done a timing and a stroke rate count, the faster the stroke rate you can hold, the faster you will go. Obviously, if you're trying to hold a stroke rate of 134 strokes a minute, you're not going to be able to go 1500 meters. So, the stroke rate is going to be dependent on the distance you're going, but so will the hand entry and the recovery arm. I'm going to show you what I mean by going to the computer and looking at myself doing open water swimming.
So here I am just starting a swim. I'm going to just get into it before we say anything. Now you can critique this right down below if you think my stroke's good, bad, if you see any particular faults in it, that would be good. I hardly ever have a coach look at me, so that would be quite nice. Now I'm heading past the yellow buoy here to another yellow buoy in the distance. And once we get past the buoy, we'll start looking at my stroke in terms of its recovery and hand entry and see what we can do. Okay, so let's just stop it here. Now you can see my hand exit and arm forward is a fairly straight recovery. Now where we're heading is effectively for this buoy here, not the one on the right. So that's where we're heading. Now if you notice, my arm's coming fairly straight, but it's also entering exactly in line with my body, and therefore we have an absolute straight line down there. The other arm comes out, again recovering and going straight forward as a straight arm, and once again as it enters we have a straight line through the body. So that's not only helping me with my entry and the catch, it's also helping me sight, because I'm trying to go in the direction my hand's going in. Now if I'm sighting there and then looking to the side and coming through, let's just have a look forward. So you can see those arms are just nearly straight. They're not quite straight, they've got a slight bend in them, but because I'm wearing the wetsuit, that's a much more efficient stroke than trying to go for the high elbow, which, believe it or not, I actually can do too. But on open water, I don't think that's best for me, especially if I'm wearing a wetsuit. So we're heading towards that buoy. Now let's just have a look at this arm again, and we're looking there. Now if we just measure the angle there that is making with the water, let's assume that that's the horizon. So it's about 26 degrees that it's making, perhaps a bit more, perhaps 30 degrees that we're making, that's all. And the other arm looks higher, but it's because I'm taking a breath. So if we take the angle here at 48 degrees, remember I'm turned to the side to take a breath, so my body is actually rotated more in that direction than it actually would be normally. So I reckon that about 30 degrees is about right. But I'm coming in line with my body. You can see me take a sighting there, and I'm sighting directly in line with my hand and in line with my body, and that's all straight. So I should come directly to the buoy I'm actually trying to get to. Well, hopefully that's useful for you, and we'll go on to watch some other swimmers in the pool to analyse it further. I'm just going to take a look at this girl from above as she comes through and see her arm recovery and what's happening. And you can see as she does it, she's got a fairly straight arm recovery. You can see that's a pretty straight arm, and it's being thrown into the water in line with the rest of her body. So if you look, that's perfectly straight. And that is something we really want in swimming, trying to keep straight lines as much as possible. But it's doing a couple of other things for her as well. If we look at that arm entry, as the arm enters, she's actually pushing this shoulder forward. And as the shoulder goes forward, it rotates around, and she brings the other shoulder round, which in turn drags the hips around. So we've got a nice rotation as well as a really good hand entry. It does a few other things for her. But let's just have a look at her going the rest of that length. And you can see that nice rotation and that really nice hand entry in line with the shoulder. Now let's take a look at her underwater. And you can see that that hand entry and the real aggressive nature of the way she pushes it forward is really rotating her exceptionally well. You can see that there. That's just a brilliant rotation. And also, if you look at her arm, it's already making a bit of a catch. So we're saving time on the catch, and we're rotating instantly. We're in the water. We're not waiting for that. It's happening almost instantly. You can see that throughout the length. That catch is good, and that rotation is absolutely brilliant. Now let's look at her coming back the other way. And what I want you to look at is the instant rotation, because that arm is coming in and being thrown forward. And that's partly because of the straight arm recovery, and partly because the shoulder is being really pushed forward. You can see that extension of the shoulder there. As the shoulder extends forward, the rotation happens to the other side. And you can see that every time her arm comes in, that wonderful rotation that she gets. And you need that for maximum stroke length. Now before you can do anything fast, you need to be able to do it slowly. And I'd like to look at this swimmer really extending forward and rotating by putting the arm in level with the shoulder there. So the arm's coming over fairly straight, in, rotate and push that arm forward. Now you can do that, he's doing it with fins on here. You can see it's not a particularly fast rate, but that can be picked up. You can see the extent of the stroke, the real length is phenomenal. We'll just watch that again as he comes through. So the extension, the shoulder being pushed forward is absolutely huge as that comes. You can see the rotation is massive because effectively that shoulder is being pushed forward, and that's what we want to see. The shoulder pushes forward, it extends the stroke length, and then we can work on the stroke rate. But you've got to come in level with your shoulder. Now looking at this swimmer underwater, you can see we're not concentrating on a fast stroke rate, we're concentrating on real extension of that shoulder through and getting a really nice catch and pull through. And that's what we'd like to see. That's a progression you can do yourself in progressing through to being a long and fast swimmer. But to start, you have to have that arm coming in level with that shoulder and stretching that shoulder forward. A lot of the time when you bring the hand forward as opposed to the arm forward in a straight line, we often get crossing the centre line, and you can see if the hand's brought forward, it immediately crosses the centre line. That leads to bringing it back to a catch position, and it's incredibly slow. This swimmer has got good rotation, but the stroke at the front is incredibly slow because the hand's coming forward, crosses the centre line and back again. So there's all wasted time there. The other arm crosses the centre line, comes back and goes straight down. So we're missing quite a bit of the catch there. And you can see that's a less efficient stroke. Another thing you'll notice with this swimmer is that instead of extending the shoulder forward, she's actually pushing it downwards. So she doesn't get maximum stroke length. Now if she's pushing that forward, the whole arm would go forward. What she's actually done, she's actually pushed it down towards the bottom of the pool. And she's doing that both sides. That is actually giving her rotation, but it's giving her no real stroke length. From under the water we can see actually what's happening, and we're not pushing forward with that shoulder, we're pushing downwards with that shoulder, and that makes the arm go down. And again, that's coming in but not pushing forwards, it's going downwards. You've got to try and get full extension on entry and then you can throw the shoulder forward instead of downwards. So this shoulder should effectively be going forwards. That would develop a really nice catch. That catch then could develop force backwards and move us forwards, which is exactly what we want. You can see everything here is developing downwards as opposed to forwards, and most of that is the fact that she's entering the water not with full extension.
So the perfect arm recovery is a slightly straighter arm. It's very nice if you can get that really nice high elbow, but if you really want to be fast and get a good stroke rate, it's far better to have a slightly flatter arm. Now, that flatter arm is going to be nearly straight, not necessarily completely straight, and the height it is will very much depend on the distance you're swimming. If you're a sprinter, you're going to have a way high arm and you're going to come forward with a real beat into the water. If you're a longer distance swimmer, it's going to come down and down and down until you see a 1500 meter swimmer, which might be about there, about 30 degrees above the water. 90 degrees above the water would be a sprinter. So you're doing 50 meters to 1500 meters, and all that happens is the arm slowly but surely drops as you go longer and longer distance. Now, one principle of swimming that I always maintain is you want to waste as little time as possible in getting into the right position. And a lot of people make the mistake of not making the hand entry very close to the position they want to be in to make their catch. Now, to do that, you have to be fully extended with your arm and you have to be in line with your shoulder on entry. If you are there or if you are there, you're going to have to then move into that perfect catch position, which can only waste time. And wasted time means you're going slower than you could do had you not wasted the time. It also means you're using more effort to do something that could be done easier. Now, my advice is to initially try doing it as the boy was doing it. In other words, you're concentrating on the front of the stroke, the front of the stroke, the front of the stroke, and all you're doing with the back end is trying to extend back as far as possible. You're not actually trying to increase your stroke rate too much until you get that front end right with that arm really pushing forward. Now, I know a lot of you will be making the mistake of pushing the shoulder down as it comes in. Don't. We want it to extend forward, and that way you'll be extending your stroke, and as your shoulder goes forward you can get into that catch position. One thing to avoid if you can is overextending that shoulder, pulling it round. Yeah, all you'll do is twist your body. You've got to extend the shoulder forward down the pool, and then your body will stay straight, beautifully straight, like the girl was when we showed that example. So hopefully that's helped you. Please write comments below if you're finding it difficult. Again, write comments below. I'll always try and reply to your comments, or even make another video if a lot of people have the same problem. Okay, thanks very much indeed for watching. Enjoy your swimming, enjoy your training. See you next week.